Good day from the grounds of the Palace of Versailles, Paris, Français. A palace that was built by King Louis XIV of France, and it's known worldwide for its opulence and grandeur. I'm also here with Will, the bodyguard. You know, Paris these days is not so safe, so it's good to have a bit of protection. Let's go inside, explore, and see the grounds. Let's go. So here we have a map of the grounds. So obviously we've come in through here. We're in this tiny building here, on the map anyway. And apparently we can rent vehiculars to explore the grounds. So that might be quite fun. Let's go see. Wow. The gold is very stunning. Look at this.
Gold's very gold.
Very gold. I'm not sure how well that shows, but I think it'd be pretty good. But
check out the gates.
Very
as well,
striking.
on the other side.
Oh yeah, it's very striking. The moment you walk out, the shine on all the gold is crazy. Check it. Yeah, this is what Will was saying. The gate's over here. I think you might have seen it in the start, but yeah, that real yellowy gold. Very nice. Like I said, the opulence. I'll get into it a bit later as to why this is, and it was intentionally done this way. Obviously it's a grand palace, but for specific reasons. But it's amazing. Very nice, yeah. Here we go. We'll get a closer look. Right, check this out. Wow. Not something you'd have at your everyday house, that's for sure. Probably worth more than your house. Very nice. Let's keep moving. So, originally on the site of the now Palace of Versailles, it was a royal hunting retreat, a hunting lodge that they used to visit. Something a far cry from what it is now, but maybe a touch more humble. But so, the original reason why it's designed like this is because it's meant to perfectly mirror and represent King Louis XIV himself. I'm not sure if you can see up behind me, you see the sun, the face in it. And it reflects the sun god Apollo, which was his personal, I'm not sure you'd say deity, but it's like his personal icon that he held close to himself, because he believed he was this divine ruler, born to reign over France, which I suppose in some respects he was. There's a real focus on, obviously, as you can see, grandeur, with the size, the patterns, and the gold everywhere, extreme opulence, and like many royal palaces, a big focus is on symmetry. So everything you see on the left will be identically mirrored on the right. I suppose it's because it's quite pleasing on the eye, but maybe there's some deeper meaning, but I unfortunately do not know. But very interesting. The thing I find crazy is that, I'm sure we'll see later with the grounds, but the fact that it used to be a hunting retreat. And you look at Versailles and Paris now, and it's so industrialized, the contrast must have been quite stark. I guess we'll never know. Let's go. Yeah, so there you go. On the Apollo theme, that is meant to portray Apollo in the middle being served by the nymphs. Not sure what to make of that, but very nice. So, the real reason that King Louis commissioned the palace was because he was scorned by a minister of his called Nicolas Fouquet, I believe. And he had a palace built called the Le Vicomte Vaux, or Vaux Vicomte, which is southeast, I think, southeast of Paris. And he held a big grand party. He invited the king, he invited all the ministers, and it was like this show of wealth, show of opulence. He wanted to show off to his peers that he had this grand palace. And King Louis attended, and he did not take it well. He believed that he was being outshone. He was being shown up by one of his ministers, and he couldn't have that. So the first thing he did was he came back and he decided to commission a palace, and he actually poached, like I mentioned earlier, he poached the entire team that was used on Fouquet's palace, because he wanted the exact same. Well, he wanted to make sure there was no stone left unturned. He wouldn't miss anything, so that no one could say, oh, but Fouquet has this and you do not, which is quite interesting. And funny enough, after this event, Fouquet was found guilty of trumped up charges to do with tax, I believe, and he was actually exiled. So, yeah, important lesson there, never outshine the master. I think that's mentioned in the 48 Laws of Power, but quite telling, because, yeah, it was his biggest mistake, trying to show the king how grand he was, got him exiled, and left us with this, the Palace of Versailles. Very nice. Oh, that really is stunning. It looks like they've got there's cameras and microphones up there. I'm not sure if you can see in the back. You have pipes for an organ. So I'm not sure whether they must do live events and stuff in there. What you looking at?
I thought it was like going to be a fire or something, but it's actually not. They were just felling trees, just.
What, on the grounds?
Yeah. But it looks like it was like, but especially the floor, it's dark. I thought maybe it was a fire on the grounds or something. But not that so far I've read.
No, this looks cool. This one. Nighttime illuminations.
Marie
Antoinette's
favourite place of retreat.
Wow. Me and Will were talking earlier. Well, Will said to me, he said, "You build something like this. What'd you put in it?" And it's like, yeah, you just because look, you build a house now, you could have this painting, and you do it by a 3x3. Because he's got a big old wall, you need it. The poor old artist, mate, he had his work cut out.
Yeah.
Very nice. Oh wow. Yeah. There you go. That's a lot clearer. First little look. Although the trucks and the vans sort of ruin it a bit. But...
I see the buggies. It's all the ones like driving over there.
Oh yeah.
You probably could walk. You don't have it.
Can see them. Let's
Need a buggy, but
we'll definitely get a buggy. Let's be honest.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
So.
We're gonna have.
So this is what I'm about to show you is the top of the room I showed you earlier, and you can see the ceiling a lot clearer. It's a bit like the Sistine Chapel. Well, yeah. And you see the organ a lot clearer now as well in the cameras. Right, so they obviously still constantly do stuff in here, but that ceiling is incredible. Quite something. So I think further up here is the royal apartments, and there's the Queen's room as well, and then there's also a Hall of Mirrors, I think. So let's get on to that. Crazy. I know this is a silly comparison to draw, but if any of you watching have been to Vegas, it's like this is the original Vegas. Well, sort of is. It was the party palace, but all of the hotels are the same. When you're wandering around, the ceilings are painted, and it is quite in Vegas. Yeah, it's quite something. It really sort of alters the perspective of the building. It's very nice. But yeah, I think, to be honest, I think you would say with King Louis XIV's antics, this was Vegas before Vegas. The party, gambling, palace.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Yeah. Getting up to no good. So we're currently in one of the royal apartments, I think it is, or royal rooms. And the interesting thing is, I think there's 7 of them, and they're all named after Greek gods. So this is the Venus room. I imagine there'll be an Apollo one. That was King Louis, because that was his idol. Well, yeah, all of them named and sort of styled on the specific god that they're meant to represent or house, I guess. So this is the Hall of Mirrors, and I think they are around 357 mirrors in this hall, and it's 73 meters long, end to end. Now, I think it was like a ceremonial hall where they conducted foreign affairs, but the reason why it's a Hall of Mirrors, you might think, that's strange. It's like a fun fair ride, you know, like a mirror maze. No. So, at the time, obviously, in France, mirrors were seen as extreme luxury. So it's quite a scarce commodity to find, obviously, in your day-to-day house, because many of the population were peasants. But even at in the higher echelons of society, mirrors were still quite scarce, and they were they were seen as extremely luxury. So I think it's just a show of money, power, access to resource. status, I guess, being able to just have one room where you got 357 of them at a time where you could barely get access to it. So
Show off.
yeah. Just another room in this massive palace to prove why he's the best, you know. Real make that impression. And I imagine that's probably why they conducted the foreign affairs here, because it's like, well, look what I've got, you know. It's like anyone could have, at the time, I guess, anyone could have a painting commissioned on them, or a portrait or something like that, or a marble carving or statue, but 357 mirrors, that's big time, baby. So
because the lines of the had finished, and now they go for
Napoleon, one of the greatest generals of all time, although the mighty Brits got him at Waterloo, but he's definitely up there.
Us Brits don't muck around with wars involved.
Yeah, I think he's got to be up there, I think, with people like Hannibal, Scipio,
Napoleon? Yeah.
Alexander the Great, who famously never lost a battle, although he did cheat the system a bit because he died at 32 of natural causes. So
Doesn't really count, does it?
he can't get a full range because he wasn't in the game long enough, you know.
It's like Van Basten firing at 28.
Exactly. Yes. Great. Yeah. So that is amazing. Very much. So those of you who like your football, Alexander the Great is very much.
He's the Van Basten of leaders. Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to generals, top tier generals.
In his prime, he could be in the talk for the GOAT, but he didn't do it long enough to be in.
Yes. Tell you what, you've got to give the old architects their dues. They knew what they were doing, dude. They didn't fluke it, that's for sure. The lighting in this place is amazing.
Certainly planned this out.
Wow, so this is the Gallery of Battles. So each painting documents a different battle. You see Napoleon coming up again over there. I imagine he's on a few of these, but obviously he's had quite a contentious relationship, old Napoleon, with the French aristocracy, being exiled and back and forth, but like we said, you cannot argue, especially for the French regime anyway, he was one of, if not their best asset when it comes to war. Just the sheer size of everything. I'll give you a fun fact, a bit of an example, just to really cement my reasoning on the fact that it's not built for practicality, it's purely built for grandeur. Because like I said earlier, they had about 10,000 residents at one time in its height in the palace, courtiers, maids, servants, soldiers, ministers, the royal family. But the palace was so big that it didn't have enough bathrooms. They were too spread out, and there just physically wasn't enough to cater to the mass amounts of residents. And the issue was so bad that it actually resulted in all the courtiers having to relieve themselves, go to the bathroom in the corridors, because it couldn't facilitate the amount of people, which is just insane. You think of this palace which is made for opulence, and you might see that looking on the outside, but in the peak of its powers, it must have been quite horrific inside, if that's what's happening in the hallways, you know what I mean? So, it's just crazy. So, of course, Versailles is famous for King Louis XIV's debauchery and his antics in the party palace. But there is another reason why Versailles as a whole is so significant. Now recently I went to Bosnia, I went to Sarajevo, and I saw the exact spot that Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in. And as I discussed, through a domino effect that led to World War I. Now in Versailles in 1919, the victors, the powers that be, gathered here in Versailles to sign the treaty. And this treaty looked to punish Germany, who had just lost. It looked to hold them solely accountable. They had to pay reparations. They were demilitarized. The country was divided, and they also divided all of the African colonies that it had. And that was done here in Versailles. Now, I would argue that could have been one of the gravest mistakes ever. As a flashpoint, taken out and looked at just objectively, I would argue that that could be the single most impactful decision and action ever in modern history, in global history. Because many speculate and historians commentate on this event, and they believe that it sowed the seeds, it laid the foundation that eventually led to the beginning of World War II. Interestingly enough as well, a man named La Rochefoucauld, who was, I guess you could say a commentator at the time, but he noted that the way in which the Versailles Palace was commissioned and how it was designed perfectly epitomizes King Louis. But when you obviously go, you see everything is dedicated and made to show him as the sun god. And he also said that it summed him up perfectly because it showed that emotion such as jealousy and vanity took just as much importance in his ruling and his decision making as the good for the country, as the political route. So it really skewed his ability to successfully rule over France. I think it's quite evident when you actually see the palace. So like I said, there's 2,000 or around 2,000 acres of grounds here, and I think it was designed by a man named André Lenoitre. And much like the palace itself, all of the gardens, the entire 2,000 acres, are all symmetrical, which is pretty mind-blowing. But then I suppose once you design one side, you just whack it on the other. Bit of copy and paste job, you know what I mean? But so he's only done half the work if you think about it. But no, it is pretty incredible. Just like this first view, as you come out into the grounds, it's breathtaking. We have acquired the whip. Let's go. I've never driven a golf cart before, so it'll be quite interesting. I have no idea how this works. Okay. And we're off. Lovely electric buggy. Right, hopefully we'll be able to get some cool shots of the place. Let's go. Battery emergency overcame.
Crisis averted.
Back on the road. Little bit disappointing because it doesn't go that fast. I want to cut about. We're gonna crash. He didn't look too best pleased.
You're actually fine.
I tell you what though, there's no power steering on this thing.
Hard work. I guess it is a bit.
It is. Maybe this is the new thing. Quit the day job. Quit the day job. Become a tour guide.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at this. My new shtick. Around the fountain, straight on.
We're going straight for our last time.
We've been told that there's a set route, and obviously if you go off route, it's electric, so the buggy cuts out. So let's hope we don't get stranded, because we're also charged by the hour. So if we get stranded, we can't move the buggy. We're on the payroll.
Yeah.
They're gonna fleece us for every pence of our existence if they get the chance.
Yeah, we've got to do exactly as we're told. We'll be good boys.
Yes, master. No, master. 3 bags full, master. That shtick. But yeah, so ahead. It's like exploring. We are like Columbus exploring the frontiers. We're the frontiersmen of America. Onward through the grounds of Versailles. Gorgeous. Much better than Paris.
Agreed. Yeah, better than Paris.
Official Paris haters over here. We may rile some feathers, but none of that, please. Onwards. It's not peak season, but I think we picked a good time to come in the autumn with the changing of the colours of the leaves. Beautiful. Don't know about you, but I love that. Lovely. We're at this building now. It's called the Petit Trianon. Like many other things, painted nice with gold. Nice building. One of the outbuildings. I think one of the other ones that we'll see is. I think I can put it in here again, but I recorded earlier when we were in the palace of a painting, and it was like a sole building and it was lit up by light, completely dark everywhere else. Now that was a retreat built for, or commissioned by, Mary Antoinette. She used to like to come and stay on the ground of the Palace of Versailles. So I think we can go and see that now in the old wagon. So let's see if we can find it. So I'm gonna have to shout over this noise, but so the building that I just showed you, the Petit Trianon, is it was built as a retreat, and we've checked the map and the places we're allowed to go, and the Mary Antoinette stuff we're not going to be able to see, which is a bit of a bummer. But so that was the original retreat, the OG house, the clout house, right, where they come out and they chill on the grounds. And then Mary Antoinette wanted her own place, and then that's built. So, and that's further off over there somewhere. But yeah, so pretty cool. The next one we're going to is the Grand Trianon, however you want to say it. And rather than a retreat, I think that's just like another, I don't know, house to go chill in, but it's more like a communal thing. But yeah, let's keep going.
Just to give you guys an idea of how slow this buggy is, I don't know if you can see that, there's a guy running in a red top.
He overtook us.
He's overtaken us, and we started...
No? Where did you run?
Oh, it's here.
Oh, I'm sat on it.
No, you pass in the middle between.
Pass, just on the right hand side?
Oh, really?
Oh, sorry, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Or here.
Yeah, that's okay.
Is that okay?
Thank you.
Here's Sam.
Okay, well, that was a close call.
Well, on the way up, the bollard came up.
There's obviously no sensor.
Yeah, it's just a bit random. Anyway, as I was saying, that guy running, he started a good 100 meters behind us, and going down the drive,
flew past.
Yeah, it's
He's
so.
gone. He's gone.
Look,
You can't even see him.
You can't even see him anymore. He's absolutely left.
No good. We'll get there in the end. Let's go. Here we are, the Grand Trianon. Don't know. Out of everything, it's a bit underwhelming, but we got to move though, because we've got like quite a long way to go and see a few other things, and we don't have long on the time frame. And they will scrute us for every penny we have if we're not careful.
And
so
we're very scrutable.
Very scrutable. So we better get going. Of the Grand Canal. Sorry, what is that? That's a heron. Well, what's next to it? An otter? I don't think so. Oh, that's a cormorant, I think.
What?
A cormorant. It dives and catches
Oh, is it? Like a
fish.
finfisher?
No.
They dive and catch, don't they?
Does that look like a
No, but you said dive and catch, so I meant like.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
You and your technicality.
Sure. Right, so this is the bottom of the Grand Canal, I think. And you can see over there where there's two people on the wall. I don't know how clear that is. It looks like you can get boats and go up and down. But I think that's very much a seasonal thing. It doesn't look open now. And to get a bit of perspective, if we turn round, obviously everything's perfectly symmetrical. And we look all the way down, you can see the palace, where I don't think I've shown you up there from this point, but where we started from. It gives a bit of perspective of how large these grounds are, because we're not even that far into it, and you can barely see it. Well, on the camera anyway. It's not looking good, bruv. I don't think we're gonna make it. We lost vital time because Will decided to lose the tickets. They didn't let us back in. We had to plead with them. It's probably part of their conglomerate money-making scheme to scroot every pence out of us. But it's not looking good. We will endeavour to stick to the time. Some of the many fountains. So we finished the tour and we're back to point zero, back to the start. But here we go, here's a better view down to the Grand Canal as well. Amazing, it's stunning. I must admit, we've been lucky with the weather, because although it looks very overcast, it's not too cold and there's no wind, really. It's definitely held off for us, because I don't think it would look quite as magnificent as it does if it was very dreary and raining. You got to get lucky sometimes. As I re-enter the courtyard out front of the palace, that concludes my trip. Versailles, completed it, mate. But in all seriousness, I would definitely recommend this. I hope this has given you a bit of an insight into what it's like and just the sheer size, beauty, and I think word of the video, opulence. That's the best way to describe it. It's mental. It's been very interesting, very fun. So I'll be off on my next adventure, chasing some history, I believe. Until then, I'll see you later. Peace.